Christian Horner, I'd just like to say thank you in advance for giving Colapinto a world championship. Now let's jump into the podcast.
Welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast. Now here's a bald guy and some Indian.
Hey man, how are you? Oh, and hello everybody, welcome to the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast. Casual, how are you, man?
Pretty good. Well, we talked about the whole Christian Horner getting fired last time around. We didn't really dive too deep into it. It was still a bit on a
We
surface
did 2
level.
hours on it, but yeah, anyway.
1 hour on it. But again, there have been a few details that have come out. So
And there's also very little otherwise to talk about because there's been no Grand Prix on. So I guess it's the main focus.
Exactly.
And I believe we're going to talk about Charles Leclerc being an absolute wet weather bottler later on, right?
apparently
Just to give people something to look forward to.
Because a lot of people actually asked why. A lot of people actually think that he is pathetic in wet weather, and maybe they're right.
So if you're a Charles Leclerc hater or lover, definitely stick around for that.
Lover.
But well, his girlfriend might be listening. Who knows? So or Max. Who anyway? So are we? Where are we starting? Kick us off.
Actually, the thing is, when we jumped into the whole podcast, we didn't really allow the whole thing to simmer down a bit.
It was that morning, right, that we recorded it, literally.
Yeah. It was just about, I think it was a few hours after that. So since then, there have been a lot of things that have actually come out in terms of a few details, a few speculations as such. But something that has honestly pissed me off more than anything has been the media's reaction to the entire situation in the way it has been done. So before I jump into it, I first wanted to ask you in terms of if you've seen a few reactions from XYZ people.
Yeah.
What's your take on the way things have been?
I think, honestly, it's been interesting to watch because this is one of the areas where I think certain people at Sky, who usually I'm ranting about, seem to have gotten certain things right, where they've come out and, even like Ted, who went on an anti-Christian rant for a little bit, I believe, still kind of got the surface level stuff correct.
Yeah.
And then there's other people who have essentially gone down the line of either I'm a raging Verstappen fan and therefore, I'm going to go down this line, or by the way, he's a complete idiot who should have been let go 18 months ago, and the team principals do nothing anyway. And I've seen that from fans, but what's been interesting is watching the media pick up on those different lines as well as many other podcasters who we will probably call out during this. And if you really don't like that, then you can have us on to argue. But
come
you won't.
over.
Or come over. Yeah. But
No problem.
it's been interesting because it's like, I know we are literally called the Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast, right? And I know a lot of, especially Max fans, when we talk about this situation, will call us out as being anti-Max. But I have been looking at this from a point of view of just like, I think we have been good at calling out, saying like, this is where I would say this is the pragmatic choice, and this is where I think it's entertaining and fun, So it's there's two sides to it, and if you're a fan, there's the entertaining fun side, which I think even the journalists have kind of jumped on, and then there's the pragmatic, like, okay, so what does this actually mean side? And I think we did try and cover that well last week. But if you don't think we did, let us know in the comments. And, I'll probably just laugh at you while sipping a whiskey anyway. So I'm trying to join the 1%, but apparently poor people aren't allowed in. So what's been your take?
Well, you pointed me towards one of the podcasts. I pointed you towards one of the articles, and there's a couple of others that we've actually stumbled upon. So for me, I'm not going to name names. Yeah,
I will.
You would. I think the problem with the entire thing is there's a sporting aspect to it, and then there's how can we tiptoe around the main thing without losing our access? And I think that's where it's been a bit disappointing, because at some point of time you have to understand one thing very basic. And maybe we are at a luxury to do that, and maybe others are not.
Mm-hmm.
The luxury is that we don't have access anyways, so we are not losing it.
So we don't care. Well, you more so than me. I'm just a guy on the internet. I can say whatever I want.
Yeah. I'm not traveling to races yet, so at least I can say it for now.
For now, you're fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so the thing is, on a very basic level, if there is someone who is spending spending some time and listening to you, you should be honest and you should cover all bases. And I think
Hmm.
everyone in the media, at least as far as I've seen, most of the top publications, whoever they are, you know who you are. It's just they've not covered the main question, which is from a sporting perspective, if you are Red Bull, should you have taken this call? I think this
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
question that everyone should be covering, but none of them want to cover this. And for a very, very simple reason, because this is a batshit decision.
Yeah, and
If there
also I
is,
think
yeah,
if you say that this is a like if you say as we said last week, which is like this was the worst decision Red Bull could have made in
yeah,
terms, especially where they are, what's coming up in regulations. Like even if you wanted to get rid of Horner, this is the worst time to do it from a pragmatic point of view. Like you at
exactly.
least let them get to 2026, hand everything over slowly but surely, even if you secretly kind of do that, slowly but surely. You don't.
Yeah.
It's just the worst time. But yeah, you're right. Like I
There's a
guess
reason why they don't talk about it. They've
well,
not
there's a
been
few, right?
this.
Obviously, access, but also I do think as well there's a few publications I think that are very much worried about the backlash because a lot of people, and I think one of them you pointed out to me, Motorsport, I believe it was, basically came. Yeah, I'm naming them. I don't care. He didn't tell me who it was, by the way. I found that out of my own accord by looking at the link he sent me. So, so but yeah, the point is, you sent me a lot of links, so you didn't point that one out specifically, so it's
Yeah.
fine. But yeah,
All of them
like
F1, by the way.
yeah, a lot of them just like basically backing it up by saying, "Oh, but Horner is a misogynist and a sexist." So it's like, yeah, we're just going to say that's the reason why we think he should be fired. That's like, okay,
That
you
was
can have
entirely the entire motorsport.com was this.
was
And
basically that argument. And
yeah,
it's like there's two problems with that. One is he was cleared of those allegations. Now, whether you believe that or not, that's up to you. And I get that. And that's an opinion and that's fine. But just at least point out the fact of they couldn't fire him over that because he was cleared. So you can't just clear someone of an allegation and go, I know you were cleared by our investigators, but we're going to fire you anyway. Because that's not a legal reason to do something. Like you can have that opinion in the media and on social networks, but you can't legally go and fire someone for allegations that you can't prove are true. And the second thing is, that is not a pragmatic sporting reason. So you can say your opinion is, I think he should have been fired when that happened. But you can't then go, oh, by the way, that's also a sporting reason to remove him. It's like, no, that's not. Like, that
yeah,
has nothing to do with his performance. Like, so I don't. And I know
yeah.
people will say it does have something to do with his performance, but I'll rant on that later on. That's
I
a
will get to
different.
that bit as well.
Yeah.
I I think so too. Somewhere I think so too. And okay, if you're naming people, then Will Buxton as well, because
I haven't seen what he
honestly,
said, so you'll have to tell me.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's probably had some. Oh God, the last few weeks or so, he's had some dumb takes when it comes to Formula One in any which way. This was also one of them where he said that a lot of people are saying that maybe he should have been fired earlier, with whatever happened, with whatever has been happening with the team or whatever happened with the scandal and stuff. And I'm like, okay, is anyone going to talk about the fact that in the last 20 years he's won 14 titles with the team, and just 6 months back he won a championship? It was a bit strange looking at how much, because it seems, and again, I'm probably looking at it, I'm probably judging it from the outside, but it does appear that when you are in that Formula One bubble, you are very, very wary of what you're going to say, and you want to make sure that whatever you've said, it's not going to impact people that are inside that bubble. As soon
Yeah.
as one of them is out, yeah, he's basically free game. And that seems to be a lot of that seems to be the case with a lot of these people, and it's a bit disappointing because look, I respect a lot of work that all these guys do, and I think only one person, again, shout out to forgetting his name, Mark Hughes. So Mark Hughes is probably the only one who said that if you're, I'm misremembering what he said, but he basically said that if you're firing someone like this, you're probably, unless and until you have a great backup plan, you're in for a tough time ahead. And he's probably right. Even
Yeah.
Damon Hill,
Yeah.
by the way, shout out to Damon Hill, who said that, I think, yeah, he had that line that palace coups are never the best way to achieve success, something on
Yeah,
these
yeah.
lines. And
I think
this was
even
basically that. So,
even like Martin Brundle, someone called me out and saying, "Oh well, Martin Brundle even said that Red Bull's becoming more corporate," and I'm like, "Great way to cherry pick information," because what Martin Brundle actually said was something along the, not quoting verbatim, something along the lines of, "I don't think this was the great decision because they're being more corporate and that doesn't really tend to work out." And I'm pretty sure he referenced Ferrari. So it's like what you've done is you've taken one line from his entire quote, used that to point out the completely opposite of what he was trying to say. So yeah, I don't know. Like I completely get why people don't like Horner, and I understand that. Like especially with last year with the allegations, the way they cleared him is a little bit suspect. Like I get all of that.
okay.
And if we're just
because
talking
we
about that,
also have a few people and they commented about this in the last one.
Yeah,
Let's talk
go for
about the whole investigation a bit first,
Yeah.
because maybe it needs to be addressed. We've not really talked about it much in terms of the allegations and what happened. What's your take on the whole thing?
like to me, what seems to be the situation, if I had to give my take on it, is essentially that he got cleared because what he did is technically not wrong, right? Like essentially what it looks like they've cleared him is they were going after him for essential sexual harassment, which would have been a fireable offense. And what the both investigations came to was this was some sort of consensual relationship or consensual thing going on in the background. And
Maybe we don't really know the details, by the way.
We don't. And this is why I'm saying this is what it looks like from afar.
And we only have access to chats, which were some of which
things
were,
that
by the way,
Jos Verstappen put out, allegedly. So
and some of the stuff was photoshopped as well in that.
Yeah, and there was a picture of a finger that people seem to think is a penis. And if your penis looks like a finger, please see a doctor.
Good luck.
But yeah, like that's what it seems like is kind of the situation is he was basically cheating on his wife to an extent or in the midst of trying to cheat on his wife. Again, this is what it looks like. This is just my opinion. And essentially that she got annoyed at some point or it went too far at some point. Someone else latched onto this and went, great, and let's just, push this through. And they tried to push it through as quickly as they could. And both of the investigations came to, guys, this was a consensual thing. This isn't sexual harassment. And the most we could see this is like some sort of disciplinary action, but I can't, this isn't a fireable offense. So that's what it looks like to me. And even if you, even the messages that were leaked, if you look at them at the very beginning, it does seem like a situation of she was into it as well and then got cold feet and then everything kicked off. If those messages are real, that's what it looks like. And I know basically people be like, oh, well, you're just being a misogynist and clearly she was his boss and this was, and it's like, fine, you can have that opinion. But on the basis of the investigation, if that is what it was, if that is the actual evidence that was there, then that isn't a fireable offense. And you may not like him, you may not like the actions, you may not like all that, but talking just pragmatically about firing someone, you cannot ruin someone's entire career over just, something that is alleged and that you don't have evidence for. And the problem, I think, is over the last 10 years, that has become the norm. It's been fire people, get rid of people, and then investigate. As people absolutely hate Kevin Spacey, right? And whether he did it or not, he was cleared of those allegations. Yet his entire career and money-wise situation was ruined.
Kevin Spacey is the actor. Yeah, okay, I remember now.
But my point is, whether or not he did that, the whole point of the way
there's
we
this
work,
comedian as well, right?
There's been
Louis
a lot
CK.
of them. Yeah. Even Jeffrey Epstein apparently did nothing. So, but that's a different conversation.
This video
We're not
is going
getting
to have 5 views.
yeah, or a lot of comments of people getting angry. But my whole point is the way we're supposed to.
Jeffrey Epstein popping into the.
Yeah, the way we're supposed to set up as a society is you prove someone guilty and then you get rid of them. You're not supposed to be able to just I shouldn't be able to go and come up with some allegation against you. Your whole life gets ruined, and then later on go, oh, by the way, it's I have no proof. And that's essentially what they tried to do. And he was cleared, and that's why they couldn't fire him. So actually, in the case of Horner, it worked the way it was supposed to. And if you think that he was guilty of it, clearly there wasn't evidence because there was enough people there who wanted to get rid of him. And if there was evidence, he would have been removed then because they wanted him removed then. Yeah. So for people who I've seen go, oh, well, it's just because Red Bull covered it up and so on. It's like, well, there was enough people trying to get rid of him. So if they wanted him gone, they could have had him gone.
Exactly.
So I just don't believe it was just the thigh side. I think there was a lack of evidence as well. So
Yeah.
whether he did something or not, maybe he did, but we don't have any proof that conclusively says it. So
Precisely.
that's
Good. You
that's my
summed it up.
thinking on it. Yeah.
Yeah. In
Shout at me in comments if you want to. Genuinely don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to the whole the chats and everything, so I had one view. I showed it to my wife. She had a different view. I showed it to a couple of friends. They had an entirely different view. And what it came down to is, I remember even us having a chat with Peter about it, and he also had a slightly different take on the whole thing. And what ultimately, I reach a conclusion when it comes to something like this is it can go both ways.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that can consider it one person maybe using his power for exercising his power to have some kind of control over
Sure.
over
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
person who's below him, or maybe it's a consensual relationship, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to that, I'm not entirely sure how to form an opinion on when it comes to that. But the entire thing is, look, there's an and by the way, just to get
Just
one
on
thing
that
out,
point, they're
this is
sorry. Go
only
ahead.
one proof. This is not the only proof that was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were other things that were put out that were obviously not shared. This was the only thing that came out. Why? Because this was not flat. This was not a flattering look for Honor.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
So
whole
I'm
thing.
sure, like, that's the first thing to keep in mind. Like, we don't have all the evidence, and the whole point here is you can't just jump to the conclusion because there needs to be a balance. Because the problem I have is, like, if
That's
we
the
go
whole
down,
thing with me, honestly, because
if we go down the
I
route
hate
of
I
just
hate only this thing that, and look, almost 80 to 85% accounts that have this opinion about Honor, they had this opinion before. And even if there are five more, you can say, court hearings and five more things happen, they will still have the same opinion. The
yeah, yeah,
reality is, when it comes to the public square, everyone already forms an opinion of the person based on
before,
whatever superficial
yeah, yeah.
picture they have in their minds, and
Basically,
no
as
one
soon
can
as this
change
came
that.
out about Horner, there was people
Yeah,
who were like,
everyone made up their mind
there was
whichever
either
direction it
he
was.
didn't do it or he did it
Yeah,
immediately before
exactly.
any evidence.
Yeah.
So as soon
And
as
then there were some
that
Verstappen
evidence,
fans who thought he didn't do it, but then they realized that Joss was involved, so then they thought he did.
he did. Yeah,
So
yeah.
then that's
So,
also a
but this
category.
this is my thing where I just think, like, these things need to be taken seriously, and people need to stop just going, "Oh, well, he clearly did it," because what happens is you're going to get to a situation which I think we're kind of getting to, and this is more society than just Red Bull, but
Yeah.
where, like, women who actually have these issues, right,
Yeah.
are going to feel like, oh, well, I can't come out about it once again, because what's going to happen is everyone's going to see it as, oh, well, that's just one of these allegations
The
again.
whole
And
Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing, right?
yeah, it needs to be a situation where these things are taken in a proper process of, okay, if it happened, let's prove it and let's take it seriously. But if someone if you're not able to prove it, then unfortunately the person can't be fired, because otherwise
Yeah.
what happens is anyone can just start throwing allegations around. And then we get to the situation, like I said, where no one believes any allegations.
Yeah.
So it has to be taken seriously in a balanced way. And look, you can have your opinions about him, but he was cleared. And
Yeah.
maybe the process is wrong. Maybe. But that's a different conversation. Like that,
Yeah.
that's a conversation you have to go and look at the process, you know? So,
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I kind of got pissed off when I don't know which account it was, a Ferrari fan who wrote that I don't want an alleged sexual harassment, something offender being a part of Ferrari.
yeah, yeah.
And like, okay, let's have some person ultimately accuse you of something. Let's have you be investigated twice. Let's have you come out innocent, and then still call you an alleged thief. Would you be fine?
Yeah,
Would
yeah.
you be fine with
Well,
something like this?
simply, if I
Yeah.
go online and I just say, oh, someone told me that allegedly Verstappen's a pedophile, like, is that enough then to just remove him from the car seat while we investigate this? Like, no. Like, you have to do the investigation first. Otherwise,
Precisely.
we get the situation where a ton of people, which has happened because it went crazy over the past 20 years, of people just getting accused of stuff. They lose all of their career, jobs, and money. And then it turns out that a lot of the
There are
accusations.
so many examples of this, right?
Yeah, and
even
some
in
of them were
corporate
some of
lives,
them
we've
were
seen
real.
it.
Yeah, and some of them were real, and that was great. And it was great that, like, fucking weirdos like Harvey Weinstein got fucking accused and jailed
Jesus
and
Christ,
stuff,
yeah.
right? It's great that those people got held accountable. Although unfortunately, I think he's getting out on some technicality. But normally, They got, and then, but the problem with that is you get a
Prince
ton of,
Andrews.
yeah, but the problem with that then is you get a ton of people who get caught up in that, who actually didn't do anything, but someone's looking for money and so on. I'm not saying this woman did that in that situation. I'm just saying this is why there needs to be a process, and we can't just go, well, he should be fired because he allegedly did something even though he was cleared.
Yeah.
Because that's just not a fair way to do things. Whether
Exactly.
you like him or not, there has to be a process.
Precisely. And now, since you kind of covered it, in case anyone has any questions or something regarding this, drop your views in the comments. Again, this is
Yeah.
a very contentious topic. I didn't want to discuss it, to be honest, because everyone gets enraged and everyone has very strong opinions. But
It's just a lot of the media and
actually, a follower
everybody.
actually pinged me on X, and he kind of had a chat regarding this. And again, my views and his not entirely match. But at least we can have a conversation, right?
Plus, journalists like motorsport.com literally had an entire article being like, well, he should have been fired 18 months ago. You're like, for what?
Utter
like,
nonsense.
You can't
Seriously.
do that. Like,
Yeah.
But anyway,
You're
whether
playing
he
with
did it
people's
or
lives.
not, like,
Yeah.
this is, if he did it, he's a horrible person. And I don't particularly think he's a great person anyway.
He's
But
a horrible person anyway,
Yeah, like-
because he was married and had multiple kids
exactly.
when he was behaving like that. So
he was
it's
basically,
done, yeah.
regardless of whether he actually did anything in terms of like contact, he was essentially cheating on his wife. So he's not a good person. Let's put it that
Precisely.
way. But the point is, you cannot fire someone for not being a good person. Otherwise, no one would be in most top jobs because, and there'd be no drivers either because most of them are not great
in
people.
F1, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, Bernie Ecclestone ran this sport for decades. If good people couldn't be at the top, Formula One wouldn't exist. So
Precisely.
we can't fire people for being bad people. Like, we have to
because
prove something.
Honestly, if you've been in the F1 paddock and you've heard stories about F1, oh boy, there's if you're looking for saints, the Formula One paddock is not the place to be.
If this is the reason Sergio Perez would not be coming back to the grid, which we'll talk about later. I mean, like, there's
Boy, that Monaco win, huh?
yeah. Monaco Knights. Yeah.
Anyways, now coming to the more important thing, something that the media refused to address as a sporting decision, good, bad, or long term, whatever. What's your view on what Red Bull did when it comes to their call to actually sack for Christian Horner?
I think it was a stupid move regardless. Like, from a corporate point of view, right? If I'm taking it, like, forgetting about all the over-exaggeration, if we're just looking at it from, for a second, imagine this isn't to do with Verstappen, right? And it's to do with, like, long-term control of the sporting team. If it is a situation of Red Bull thought he had too much control and they wanted to turn it into a more kind of corporate held, I think that's a bad decision anyway, but if they wanted to turn it into that, this was still a terrible way to do that. You do that over the next 12 months. You slowly hand things over. You don't just turn chaos in and hope things work out with Mekies. So from that point of view, even if it was just nothing to do with Verstappen and we just want corporate control and we wanted to start reaming things back into Red Bull, this was executed terribly, right? So there's that. If it was to do with Verstappen, then one, you better hope you've held on to Verstappen, because if Verstappen still goes to Mercedes, this will go down in history as one of the biggest, if not the biggest, cock-up in Formula One history. And if it was a reaction...
By the way, I think Alpine's nonsense comes close, to be honest.
Yeah.
They did something similar, but they weren't this bad.
Yeah. So if they lose Verstappen and... but like, if this was a reaction to losing Verstappen, then it goes back to what I said anyway, which is if Verstappen's already going, then you keep Horner at least until the end of the season.
It for you, because these are the, I think you touched on it a bit. These are the two theories that are there. The first is that ultimately it was entirely the board and Oliver Minchla wanting to do something on these lines, and he saw the opportunity and he jumped on it. He, by the way, got the consent of people like the Thai investors,
the Thai side who don't actually give a shit, by the way,
as well as Helmut Marko, who probably signed it with blood.
Kel Surprise,
yeah. And that's the one theory. The second is that the Verstappen family kind of put the entire Red Bull management in basically an ultimatum situation where it's either them or Horner, and ultimately with that they picked Verstappen and let go of Horner. So these are the two theories.
Horner was carrying tons of cash for high tech. Who knows? There could be something coming out of the wash later on. Like, just to
you
put that
never
out there as well, Horner is still sticking to the line that he doesn't know why he was fired. So there could be, just to point out, this could be completely un-Verstappen related, could be completely on-board control related, and it could turn out he's been sending finger pics on WhatsApp again. Like, there could be something else. But at the moment, with the information we have, it does look like it's board control. It just, the timing for me tells me it's to keep Verstappen. Because with any other situation, like even if it's a case of it's reactionary, Verstappen has left.
To keep Verstappen is one thing, but sitting him down, telling him sign a multi-year contract,
Oh no, that's what I mean.
to us,
that's what I mean.
and
Like,
then fire him.
That's what I mean. It's a situation of they've sat down and he has agreed to stay for at least 2026. Just give them the year to prove it, right? No, I don't think that's good enough either. But I'm saying that is the only thing that makes sense to me, because in any other situation, if you're a board and you're pragmatically looking at this, even with where you're at the moment, any change you make can only have negative effects on 2026, because any new guy coming in looking at 2026 won't have enough time to fix it. So you at very least, you just go, okay, if there's any other reason, we keep him until the end of the season. We start planning now. We kind of quietly figure who we're going to place in, and you build up something where the moment the season's over, Horner's out, Mekias is in, you've got your new technical director, you've got everything set up and ready to go. This seems very much timing-wise. The only reason to do it right now is because you've sat Verstappen down, and maybe not Verstappen like Max, but Jos and his other managers have gone.
The camp.
Because I don't think Max seems to only care about winning, right? And I think that is fair. But his Jos and his camp seem to be very much like, this is what we're doing.
The problem is, look, you care about winning is one thing, but realizing that Formula One is not something you can run on a whim. You can't, look, there's a reality which I'm not entirely sure Max has understood. He might think he's the hottest property in Formula One, but he cannot predict future. If right now he's sitting there, and I don't
see, I going back to what I said last week, I really just think, I do think this is a case of, and I can see why it would happen, that Max puts his trust in the people around him who make these decisions and have made
then those people
good
are
decisions.
foolish, right?
Sure, but the way he'll look at it is, they've gotten me. Those people have gotten me to 4 championships, so I'll take them at their best on this. And those people seem to think they know better than, say, Horner and Red Bull or whatever. So, but yeah, just to finish off what I was saying, the only reason I can see him being fired at this point is that they've gotten Max to sign on the dotted line. Jos and all those guys have gone, yeah, but we want Horner gone immediately. Because anything else, you keep Horner until the end of the season. It just doesn't make any sense to remove him right now. So,
and
I don't know about you, just if that or they're stupid, but they may well be stupid. They're stupid either way, I guess. So they may well be.
Because, I even wrote it on X that, again, all these theories of Max not being involved in any which way. I think there's one thing which is very safe to say, that if Max wanted Christian Horner at Red Bull,
Christian
he would
Horner
be
would
at
be
Red
at
Bull
Red
right
Bull.
now.
Yeah. Because that's the reason Helmut Marko's still there.
Exactly.
Like, nobody wants Helmut Marko there except for the Verstappens. Like, even the board were sick of Helmut Marko. Like, we've seen this in the past. Yeah. Like, he does absolutely nothing now. Like, I don't want to take away his history. He's done some good things in the past. He's brought some good drivers. But in the last decade, he's done absolutely sweet fuck all. So, apart from
his legacy is going to be basically drowning the ship that he built. Honestly.
So he's the captain of the Titanic.
He will be the Luca di Montezemolo of Ferrari, who basically pushed Michael Schumacher out, killed the dream team, and see how it's been.
So
it's.
I don't know. I can't. If we're just talking logically, that's the only reason. If it's a reaction to Max leaving, like if Max has already basically said I'm going to Mercedes, then it's stupidity. But I do think there is some truth to it. I don't think Max himself was pushing for this. I think this is a simple case of Max has faith in his team, and I think his team are making some very bad decisions. Because this goes back to what I said about Jos and his team last year. You stay quiet. You let them deal with stuff. You push if you want to in certain directions, and you say, I'd prefer this or I'd prefer this. But you don't get directly involved, because what you do is you sit back, you let the team work this stuff through, And whichever way it works out, it's win-win for you. Because if Horner stays and turns the ship around, you win. If Horner goes and it falls apart, you've stayed out enough to just go, guys, listen, thanks for everything, but I'm out of here. Like, you don't need to get involved in this. So I think if his team has got involved and got Horner fired,
I
they
don't think
may
it
well
works
have
that
just
way, honestly. 'Cause
they
the
may
way
well
you're
have just
putting it.
removed, but they may well have just ruined his chance at a championship. Because if he stays now and the ship does sink, it may be too late by the end of 2026 to go somewhere else where he can win a championship. You know,
So you're saying he stays for 2026, right?
for me, that seems like the logical solution. I don't see why they would fire Horner if he's already leaving, because it just like
It
sorry,
seems that there
I
is
see
one-
why they would fire Horner. I just don't see why they would fire him with immediate effect. You would hold him out until the end of the season. It doesn't make sense to hold him now. Like if Max was leaving,
They just
then
wanted him out. Could that be a
sure, yeah,
simple
it could be as
enough
simple as
reason,
that,
right?
but that would be the height of idiocy. Like there's, and I should probably. I mean, boards are the height of idiocy anyway. So maybe that is
Yeah.
the case. Maybe I'm being too nice in thinking that they've actually thought this through.
Yeah. I don't think they have thought this through, because the way
No.
they didn't have. If you have thought this through, you have someone. You have a successor in place. Lauren Mackey's is not going to be the first choice to be a team principal of many top teams.
Did you see
And
what
you
else they're
just-
thinking of doing as well?
What?
There's talk that basically Jody Egginton will come across to replace Vache.
Is that it's not real, right? It's
I
the
hope not.
figment of some.
I really hope not, but
I know
that's
who
who
you're
they're saying.
referring to.
Like that's who people have been saying, or someone has been saying that if Vache goes, he would be next in line. And
I mean,
that
if
is
someone is saying that,
terrible
they
idea.
need to be fired from their job, which
That's-
if
why would
they
you-
are working in Formula One.
yeah.
That's
But
all I'll say.
I've seen Verstappen fans latch on it because they're basically saying that the Racing Bull team has like come together this year or whatever. Yes, the Racing Bulls have come together to maximize at the midfield, but building a midfield car is very different from building a title-winning car.
Just refresh my memory. Where is Racing Bull in the championship right now?
6th or something, right? 6th, 7th,
8.
8th, right? Yeah.
Yeah, great job.
But do you know the reason why Racing Bulls have have become much better this year?
Yeah, half of the car is from Red Bull.
But also, do you know the real reason all of Racing Bulls has gotten so much better since 2023? Christian Horner, who
Yeah,
put
they've
who put
moved the
Mekies
whole
in
thing.
charge. Christian Horner, who pushed for it to be moved to a on-campus location to
Mekies.
help with all of this.
Yeah.
Christian Horner, who got the big sponsorship to come in for them. Christian Horner. So if everyone's like, well, look how good Racing Bulls is. Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
Christian Horner. Like,
Yeah.
just the short-sightedness of all this is just, it's insane to me. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't get it.
I don't know.
I honestly don't get it. And that's the whole thing, just to sum the whole thing up, if you're talking about a sporting perspective, let's assume Max Verstappen sticks for 2025. Let's assume that.
26 or 26, you mean?
Yeah, 26. Sorry.
Yeah.
He sticks around for 2026. I think we can be quite sure that Red Bull is not going to be a front runner in 2026.
Unless
means.
Horner and Vache have played a blinder behind the scenes, in which case it'll
I
be
think
really
Vache
funny.
is also going to leave pretty
Yeah,
soon.
yeah, I reckon so too. But this is why it'll be funny, because if they do have a really good 2026 car, the credit for that has to go to Vache, Horner, and the engine team.
No. Vache does not get credit for anything, by the way. He doesn't get credit for 2023 car, even though he was the one who
because
built
Newey
it.
built all of that, of course,
Yeah.
and Newey built the 2026 car somehow as well. Yeah,
Exactly.
So, but my point is, if we're talking like logical non-Twitter people at the moment, then Vache and Horner will get the most credit for 2026 because it is halfway through the season. The 2026 plans will be continuing. They're not going to just stop and start again right now. So whatever's been in place is what will run. So if they show up with a really good 2026 car, then they're going to have to put a lot of credit to Horner and Vache, which
No,
they
they
won't.
won't.
No, they
Which
won't. But
yeah.
they should, is my point, logically speaking. And if they show up with a really, really shit car, then fair enough, but good luck fixing it now, because you're going to have to bring in a whole new team.
Precisely. And that's the
And you know
problem.
who'll get fired immediately for that? Laurent Mekies. So
Good job.
it's going to be
That's
fun.
the whole thing. That's what makes me a bit skeptical about Red Bull's future. Because, first of all, what is the Red Bull board's expectations from this team? We have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, if 2026 comes in and the car is not right up there, Max is not going to stick around for 2027. Either he's going to take a sabbatical or is going to move to one of the teams.
Yeah.
Whichever way he goes, we'll talk about it later. Then the problem is, fine, Max is gone. You have probably Yuki Tsunoda in the other car. You need to find another driver.
Mm-hmm.
Is Lauren Macias and Red Bull a combination worthy enough to turn heads of any top driver at this stage? The answer is no.
No. No, and,
That's
and
the whole
very
thing.
most people aren't going to, because the thing is, like, if you kept like Horner and the current team in place, right? If you were looking at that to join, say next year, for example, say Max does go to Mercedes, right? And George is thinking
Yeah.
about it. With Christian Horner and that team there, if you had to calm the situation down, instead of like throwing all of the things out the window and just said, right, we're backing Horner now, we're going to turn this around. Someone like George, Leclerc, whatever, would look at it and go, okay, this team is not great at the minute, but they have turned it around in the past. They will turn it around again. I'm going to put some faith in it. If you're
Horner is
looking at
there.
it, yeah, if
The
you're
biggest
looking at
thing
it
is
right
Horner is
now,
there.
you're looking at it as, well, I have no idea where this team's going to be because like the entire leadership team is gone. So this could be the next Ferrari. And I don't mean that as a fucking compliment before anyone thinks that. I mean in terms of how Ferrari just cycles through top leadership because they're like, oh, well, you haven't done anything in 6 months, so goodbye. I'm worried that's where it's going to go. And that is also like, there is a reason why Dietrich didn't want this board running the team. Like, he was adamant that he didn't want this board running the team.
This is the reason, by the way.
He would rather have sold to someone else than have let this board run this.
Yeah.
So this is
Honestly.
like,
And I won't be surprised if in at least you can say 3 or 4 years, let's say a couple of years, the power unit is nowhere. Let's assume Lauren Mackey's is gone and they just bring in Arvid Lindblad or Isaac Hedger into the team. That's the driver lineup. Do you think Ford is going to stick around?
I would go further than that. I wouldn't be surprised if in 2 years' time the thing is up for sale.
It won't be up for sale that soon, but again, it will start.
But soon.
The thing is, the
It
cards
wouldn't be
would
surprising.
start. Yeah, the cards would start falling, and that's the whole problem because you've gone ahead.
They've divested from a load of other things in sports as well, haven't they? At the moment, I think.
No. Red Bull is doing great in terms of sporting thing. Mark,
but I think they've
was
sold off a
almost-
good bit of their actual investments in stuff, right? As far as I'm aware.
If
I believe
I'm
they've
not
started
wrong,
divesting and letting other companies take over where they can kind of keep their name on it, but not have direct investment, basically.
Okay,
So-
in Dakar, it's not the case, which is Dakar Rally. It's not the case.
Okay,
In MotoGP, it's not the case. They were almost about to buy KTM.
Maybe
So-
it's rally or something. I know they've divested in a few things. I'm just not sure off the top of my head what. Yeah, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Anyway,
could be,
different
could be.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, that could also be because they are trying to broaden their portfolio because apparently they're sponsoring cricketers and others as well. So there has been a broadening of the horizon. Maybe. Anyways,
If a board was looking at it, the thought would be, well, we can get just as much out of this by being a title sponsor as we can by owning a team without all of the
pretty
investment.
much. And that's the whole thing. Because what's going to happen is they have two teams, and both of them collectively they'll be worth around 8-9 billion. That's the net worth. And once these teams, both of them basically being run by substandard power units, and if they are right at the back, they are not going to be in a position where, again, questions will be asked. But if the future is that the board is going to run it and it's not going to be independent, then the entire outfit is screwed.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how long Marco is going to be there, but it would be interesting to see how much he sees
In
the
Red Bull or on the
downfall.
planet?
Either ways.
I'm joking.
Yeah,
Bad joke.
very bad joke. The thing is, he's going to see the downfall pretty much. He'll be in the front row, and that's
Yeah.
the entire way. You can see it going in that direction, and that's great job. Great job. I mean, I really don't.
I just
have
don't
high
think
hopes for the whole
they-
team.
Yeah, I just don't see a situation where this is a good strategy. I think that's why I keep going back to just timing wise. The only thing that makes sense is that they've signed Verstappen for 26.
Yeah.
So
Okay, next up. And this was something a couple of people asked me, by the way, and it's basically, how do you think Max Verstappen has actually handled his career as such ever since the Red Bull has started to decline? Because we are in 2025. He's nowhere. Let me set the table here first. Ideally, look, when your car stops performing the way it used to, what a driver tends to do is, okay, I'll give it a year. Let's see if things improve. At the same time, you keep an eye out and see if there are options.
Mhm.
The way Max has gone about the whole thing is it's been a bit nonsensical because even last season, and again, this is going to piss off a lot of people. Last season as well,
No,
he
surely
actually
not.
admitted that he had conversations with Toto Wolff, and Toto also came out public and said that. This
Hmm.
season as well, he's basically accepted that there have been talks. Toto Wolff has
Yeah.
been pretty vocal about it. Unless and until you are moving to the team in 2026, why are you having these talks?
This is
And
why. Well, publicly, why are you admitting them? Basically, yeah.
yeah,
Like they always have the talks
one
anyway,
foot
but
in
publicly,
one
yeah.
team and other foot out, and that's you don't. Right now, what he's done is he's put himself in a situation where he's taking a gamble, and he's taking a gamble on Mercedes to a large extent. Again, Mercedes might have the
We've
best
talked
power
about this.
unit.
Mercedes might have the best power unit next year, but doesn't necessarily mean they'll have the best car because they've
Exactly,
been unable to develop a car for the last 3 seasons. So what
four
tells you they'll
seasons.
four? Sorry, yeah. So what tells you they'll be able to compared to McLaren next year?
Yeah,
So McLaren have the same power unit. Maybe they won't have as good packaging in terms of like actually being able to sculpt it around the engine,
yeah.
but overall they may have a better car anyway, which could make up for the deficit.
And
So
this is not 2014. We
no.
have to stop imagining that this is 2014 because in 2014, what happened was McLaren was a team that was on decline. Basically, Ron Dennis had come in and he was archaic in his way he went about things, to put it mildly. Then you had Williams and Force India who were meh, nothing. So
But
once you
the
had
key point is they didn't have the same engine back then. They have the same
even
engine now.
even if we assume that they had a close enough engine,
The other
all
teams
the
were
three
nowhere
teams were just
close.
not
Yeah.
operating on the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
level as a top team.
Yeah.
McLaren is basically the best team in Formula One right now.
Well, McLaren has the best aero team and aero development strategy on the grid. Full
Yeah,
stop.
without a doubt.
So if they have the same engine as, which they will, because it's not 2014, as you said, the regulations are different. They have to have the exact same engine at the exact same time with the exact same upgrades, all the exact same. So even
Everything
if
same, yeah.
the thing is, sure, Mercedes will be able to build the engine as like in parallel with their team at the minute, right? But
Basically, the congruence will be there in what they're doing.
but can I just point out that's the same as right now, and they're still not building a chassis
By the
better
way,
than McLaren. So
just one
that
thing that a lot of people are not aware of: every team, customer team, is privy to the data and everything that is going on with the development of the PU of
yeah
2026 PU.
yeah
That
yeah.
kind of information
But my point
tends
is,
to be
I
there.
keep hearing yeah. But the difference is Mercedes for 2026 will be able to build their engine to work perfectly with their chassis, and my response to that is, but they're able to do that right now. So why does that make a difference for next season? Like they can build their engine perfectly for these regulations
Yeah.
with their chassis. So why does that suddenly make a difference for next year? Like it would make a difference if they were getting their engine 6 months in advance of everyone else, but they're not allowed to do that anymore. They're not allowed to change the mappings and get the best engine tweaks. They have to give all the best mappings, all the best information to their customer
yeah.
teams. So McLaren will have exactly the same engine as Mercedes. Sure, Mercedes will be able to package it better than McLaren if they have the capability to. But as I pointed out, they have that capability right now, and they're still not beating McLaren. So there's
Exactly, yeah.
no set in stone thing to go, oh well, next year they'll suddenly be able to build the best chassis on the grid.
Yeah.
Nothing tells us that.
And
So
that is the big
will they build a
problem.
better one than Red Bull? Probably. Well, chassis wise, maybe not. Engine wise,
Yeah,
almost guaranteed. Yeah.
yeah. The problem here is that what he's done is the way he's actually gone about the entire thing. He's basically he's cornered himself into a position where if he stays at Red Bull in 2026, everyone knows he's going to move out in 2027. I think that's the known
Unless the
thing.
delivery of the car is amazing, basically.
Yeah, mostly. Let's say
In the
a high
unlikely
chance it is.
event that, Jody
Yeah, yeah.
Egginton builds a last minute chassis.
Exactly. And that is one thing. Then the other scenario is okay, fine. He takes a call and he moves to Mercedes. First of all, he's moving into a team where you have a prodigious talent in Kimi Antonelli. By the way, George Russell fans, hate to break it to you, if Max is coming, George is not going to be in the team.
Which,
Okay.
from a pragmatic
So
point of
apparently I'm
view,
talking to one. So
I'm not. Yeah. I know. I got called it. Just from a pragmatic point of view, like you keep George. It just I get why I get the other reasons outside, but like if we're just talking in terms of do you want the two best performing drivers, you keep George
No.
and yes for now. Like look, I get that there's the potential, right?
No, it's not
But
even that.
I
Max
had a
and George
potential
don't
to
go
have a
together.
vagina. It didn't work out. I have balls, so like
Max and
you
George
can't.
don't go well together.
No,
As
sure,
simple as that.
but you don't know where Kimmy's going to end up performance wise. So
He's going to end up quite high.
sure, you assume, but we don't know that
We know.
100%.
We know
No,
that.
we don't. Though.
The people are going to
know?
clip this one out. And
Yeah,
he
yeah.
does fuck all in his F1 career.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, look, I get it though. I get that like it's unlikely that it'll be Max and George. Although I'm praying for it because it would be the most entertaining outcome.
At least
like
F1
Max
will be fun, right?
Well, Max and George in the same car, you know, fighting for third place as the McLarens win would be very, very entertaining. You know,
Yeah. I think we might be heading. I don't
but
think
just-
George would be there. You
no,
know
but
that.
just
Heart
just
on heart, hand on
yeah,
heart,
yeah.
you
I know,
that, right?
I know that it's likely George is going to be replaced. I think it's a wrong decision from a performance and entertainment standpoint. I think it's the wrong
Basically,
decision.
from your perspective.
It's not even that. It's just I genuinely think that George is not that far off Max. I do think Max is a better driver than George, but I don't think the difference is crazy. And I think there would be weekends where George would be the better driver, and I think it would be so
start
entertaining,
of the partnership,
especially
George
at the
would be
start.
ahead,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he should be ahead.
I think
The
it would be
problem
the
is
most
not that.
entertaining
The problem
thing.
is when you have. Look, Jos Verstappen lost his shit when Sergio Perez got the better strategy against Max in
But
Monaco.
the whole thing
in
would be so
2022.
much fun. It would be so much
It would
fun.
be fun for us, but if
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
a Mercedes boss, if you're Toto
I don't
Wolff,
care about
you're
that. I'm
not.
saying it would be fun for us. That's all I care
Well,
about.
That I agree. That I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. That's all I care about. Can I just
Exactly.
go back to what you were saying though about like Max's decisions?
The way
Again,
he's going about his career.
I
yeah.
just think this is a situation of look, Max's team hasn't guided him wrong so far, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like he's gotten a jump into Formula One. He's gotten the titles. You know, he stuck with Red Bull because his team and everyone at Red Bull kept him there when it could not have worked out. Like, and he could have gone to different teams. But if he had gone anywhere else, the likelihood is he doesn't have 4 championships right now. You know, so there's
he looked
like
he had 2
unless he
options
went to
because-
Mercedes, but that was never going to happen. You know, after the initial rounds, like you know, it just wasn't after 2021. That wasn't going to happen. Whatever. The point is, like, they've made all these good decisions so far. So I don't blame Max for kind of going, well, they haven't steered me wrong so far, so I'm going to stick with them. And I think it's easy for us from an outside perspective to be like, well, this is idiotic. But I think when you're trusting the team, you're like, oh, well, they've not done me so wrong so far. I just think that Jos in particular is making really stupid decisions right now. And Max is going, well, I mean, he's been right so far, so he's probably right again. It's like, well, sure, a broken clock is right a couple of times a decade, but not this time, I don't think.
Yeah.
You know?
But again,
And you're right. Even if he goes
you're-
to Mercedes, it's like he's going on really bad terms as well. Like it's just all of it is just. It's not.
he's become radioactive, isn't he?
They could have sat back and silently achieved the same thing.
That's
like they
my
could have
whole
just
thing.
stayed out
That
of
is
it.
my whole thing. That
Watch
there
the
is
performance,
a way
yeah.
to go about these things. Now, what he's done is just to keep good terms with Marco. Maybe with Marco. Other than that, he's held the entire team to ransom. He's probably handled a bad car situation worse than Lewis did at Mercedes. Because Lewis did not hold the team at ransom. But again, he couldn't have because his teammate was beating him. It's still right. Because for me, the whole thing is there is a very, very likely scenario that Max goes on a run of a few years where he does not have the fastest car. And then he becomes disillusioned and does something similar to what Alonso did, where he's basically going to Vec, shouting at his own team, or stuff like that. And that's something you don't want. I mean,
Max
there are
saying
lessons to be
GP2
taken.
engine next year in a Red Bull would be fun though.
Yeah, it would be if he's there. If he's at Mercedes, imagine what's going on, right? Basically, then he'll actually. That's the time when you start realizing that okay, he could have handled everything much better. Like I mean, we talked about it at the start of the season.
This is
For
the other
Max-
thing though. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead. No.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. Sorry. So what I was saying was that for Max, the best thing would have been fine, 2025 they're not going to win. Just put your best foot forward, fine, get done with it. 2026, start of the season, see where everyone is, and then take your call of the future.
Yeah, 100%.
Right now, you've already played your cards and you have no fucking clue how the 2026 grid is going to be.
This is just everything about it. I said this last year when Jos was getting involved. The Dutch Verstappen fans, lots and lots of them, essentially said, well, Jos is just looking out for his son. He's trying to get this, he's trying to get that. And like, he could do all that by doing nothing. He could let this play out and then position his son in the best possible outcome from the situation. By getting involved, all he's done is force one thing to happen, which is not the best thing for the team. And this was the thing I pointed out in a tweet today, which was Max has been saying, I don't want noise. I just want us to focus on performance, right?
I saw.
Christian Horner has been Bill Clinton since the event, which is he's just focused on performance. And Christian Horner has been the quietest Christian Horner has ever been in his entire career at Red Bull, focused on performance. Meanwhile, Jos Verstappen and Helmut Marko have been shouting at the press every weekend for 12 months now. And somehow Christian Horner leaves. And you're like, so what Max is asking for is literally what Christian Horner has been doing. And somehow he's the guy that gets the boo. So it's just, I just think Jos, if this ends up in a situation where Max, for even if he goes to Mercedes and McLaren wins, and then all of a sudden you've got, you know, even if Piastri and Norris fight for the title once again, he can't go to McLaren because a lot of all this shit is kicked off, right? And Horner's been annoyed and there's been all this stuff going on.
Not going to touch him with a 10-foot pole.
No, and might I point out as well, I think someone made a good decision of, or a good point of, Horner or Toto might be looking at all this right now and thinking to himself, you know what, guys, like, I don't know if I want the hassle. Like, you know, and I know people be like, oh, he wants Verstappen. It's like, sure, but he's got to look at it as well. If he just sits back and becomes Austrian again for a moment, which is look at things pragmatically.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he may look at it and go, you know what, I have the future in Kimi. Max is only going to be there for 3 or 4 years maximum anyway. And George is pretty much on his level from a performance to where if we have a best car, he can win the championship.
Yeah.
And if I bring him on, I'm bringing on all of this fucking noise. Do I need it? You know, he may look at it that way. And if he does turn,
honestly, he should.
But if he does turn down Max and we find out that is the reason why, it's only Jos to blame.
Yeah.
So, you know, that could be another situation.
It's not only Jos to blame; it's Max as well. Because you
I'm
tend
just
not
giving
to give
Max
him agency. I tend to. I'm probably a bit harsh on him, but look, it might have worked before, but you need to know what's good at a particular moment. And if Max cannot make these calls at what he's 27, 28, I don't know when he can.
I just think you kind of like, this is the... what
that's
is
what
it?
grades did, right?
Well, but Bill Gates has said this a few times before. He's like, you know, it's easier
was
to...
just a friend.
Yeah. Jos Verstappen said the same thing. He said, I just went to that island for fun. I was hanging out with Toto. That would be really funny if Toto and Max's jet land on Little St. James. We're just making deals, I swear. What was I saying? No, it was Bill Gates was saying, like, this is the problem with success. Successful people are more likely to fail in future sometimes because they believe that their past success is an indicator of future success.
Yeah.
You know, and that is sometimes the problem where when you're in this situation, successful people, his exact words, were successful people have been successful before, so they assume they can't lose. So they just continue to do what they're doing and assume it will go right. You know, when a lot of it could have been luck or it could have been the right decision at this point, but it's not necessarily that you'll be successful again. And he could just be failing to that of looking at, you know, Jos and the team and saying, well, they know what they're doing, you know, so I'll just leave them to it. They're the guys who have done me right in the past, so they'll do me right again in the future. Who fucking knows? Maybe we're wrong. Maybe Jos is a fucking genius and somehow, you know, he'll end up with 10 world championships. I just think right now,
his talent deserves 10 world championships.
Sure, yeah.
But
that's not how F1 works, though, is it? Like,
that's what I'm saying. F1 doesn't work that every time you have a bad car or a team stops performing, you start pretty much putting the gun on their head. You don't do that. What you try to do is you either try to stay calm and rebuild, or you just shift bases. And I've always said it's entirely fine if Max shifts bases because look, he's spent enough time at Red Bull.
He's done what he needs to do there.
Entirely fine.
Yeah.
My whole problem seems to be right now, because I think the way he's gone about it, he's ruined everything. The way he's ending the Red Bull relationship, it won't be on a good note. That's the whole problem.
This for me is the whole point. It's like you could have achieved the exact same thing without all of this.
Yeah.
And like if you were quiet through all of this and just kind of went, okay, like behind the scenes, all you had to do behind the scenes is just push for performance. You don't need your team publicly calling out and causing like picking political sides. You can sit back and say to the Horner camp and to the Austrian camp, I don't really give a shit who's in charge. All I'm going to do is I'm going to complain about both of you if performance isn't put in front of me. And if performance isn't there, I'm going to be out the door. And that's what every driver should do. And
that's the whole thing, right?
If he had just done that, then he could have left now anyway. Or at the end of next year, he could have said, look, I stuck around, but I'm out of here. And more teams would have looked at him. I think the problem is next year, you're going to have at least one more world champion, if not two. Because if he doesn't go to Mercedes next year and George does win next year, Toto's going to look at all of this and go, even if Kimi's underperforming and I could have Max, well, now I've got George as a champion and Max comes with all of this fucking baggage, so I don't need
what's
it.
the point?
You know, so and people will go, oh yeah, but you're going to pick Max over George. Well, if George has a world championship next year, no, that's not how F1 works.
Exactly.
Like we've seen this in the past, you know?
And the whole thing is, and you know, that's what pissed me off on the podcast that you'd suggested, where one of the journals, I'm not going to name them, they said that Max has been very pissed recently with all these questions about his future. Well, who brought them up? It's basically his manager literally admitting that yes, we are talking to different parties. If your manager is telling the media that we are talking to different parties, what do you expect? You expect these questions. You bring them on.
The whole point of my tweet this morning, Max goes, I don't want the noise, I just want to focus on performance.
Yeah.
Jos and Helmut continue to talk about the noise in the papers, and somehow Christian is to blame for all of this. And the journalists, as you said in the race podcast this morning, which I listened to, they made that point of, they were like, oh, well, Jos is just sick of all this noise that comes with Horner. And it's like, but Horner hasn't been making any of this noise. He got the accusations. We've already talked about that, but he then pulled a Bill Clinton. He did what Bill Clinton did. He said, okay, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm not going to go on rants. I'm going to focus on the economy. I'm going to focus on performance. And it was everyone around him shouting. So you can blame Horner for a lot of things, but when it comes to the noise, that's all on Jos and Marco. Yeah. That has nothing to do with Horner.
By the way,
if you don't believe me, go and look it up.
And just wait. I mean, next time around, Max ends up having basically a fit during the race and crashes into a driver. Lauren Mekies is not going to go out there with those screenshots and trying to defend his driver.
Well, it is going to be one of those funny things that it has been out and out Verstappen. It's been kind of funny that like it's been Verstappen fans now for over 12 months, 18 months, right? Basically since the performance dropped and since Jos started shouting. 18 months. It's been the Verstappen fans calling for Horner to go, right? And now that Horner is gone, they're all absolutely like, even though they're like, oh, well, Horner has nothing to do with performance, but they're all like, please God, leave for Mercedes. Please God, leave for Mercedes. So it will be, I have to say, very, very funny if he stays and the performance goes down, because it's like, well, who are you blaming now, guys? Like,
I mean, just to cap it all off, I mean, that was the tweet I wrote, right? That, all of us, everyone, every single fan, they kind of make fun of Ferrari. They shit on Ferrari. They just make jokes about Ferrari, memes about Ferrari. But whenever things go wrong, the first instinct is to do exactly what Ferrari does.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing.
Yeah. It's just, I just found I found the reaction the last few weeks really funny, because it's like, oh, we need to get rid of Horner. And then as soon as Horner left, it was like, well, Max needs to leave for Mercedes now. So I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. It's just so funny how if he stays, it's going to be hilarious. It really will be, because they're not going to have anyone to blame. They're only going to have Jos to blame, but they won't do that. So it's going to be interesting to see who they blame next.
Lauren Mekies.
Lauren Mekies.
Enough. He's weak.
It'll be Vache
one
first.
Thing we're going to see.
It'll be Vache first. They'll all basically go, well, get Jody in because he built the racing bull, so he'll know what to do. And then Jody will come in, he'll not compete. The point is, it's just such short-sighted thinking. I
can see Red Bull's future basically crumbling in front of us.
It's recency bias on steroids. Yeah. And we've talked about this a lot, because it's like, we've both called it of, guys, it's not that Red Bull has fallen apart. It's that McLaren has gotten better.
It happens.
Yeah.
It's the sport.
And the only logical solution was we make a car that can work for Verstappen. And that's what they did.
Multiple poles. But yeah, anyways. Finally,
he's ahead of everyone else except for McLaren, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's not like they've built a really bad
the championship
car.
Right now, there was no McLaren. And
sure, 100%. And comfortably as well.
Yeah.
Like, he'd be in a championship battle with George, but George wouldn't be close. He'd comfortably be ahead, winning every race nearly.
Exactly.
So, except for maybe Canada. Maybe
a couple more.
Yeah, there's probably one or two more. But yeah, it's such short-sighted thinking. Yeah.
Just to cap it all off, what do you think happens with Horner? He's not
Alpine. And he's going to keep Franco Colapinto and turn him into the next Verstappen. I couldn't even keep a straight face during it, sorry.
For me, the question is,
well, he can't do anything until the end of the year.
The resources, how does he build an infrastructure that parallels top teams?
The thing is, right, I think the simple fact is
that is the one part of the equation that I don't know.
Eccleston's about to die, so he's going to leave him lots of money. So I think that's where he'll get the cash from.
Look, it was 20 years ago, and I would have said the same statement.
Come on,
just
imagine this, right? Just think about this. Eccleston's worth $3 billion, something like this, right? So,
no, he's more than that.
So, but the point is, Eccleston
way more than that. By the way,
well, Eccleston's got enough money that he could help put enough in that Horner could then get backing from other people, right? Like enough to kind of get the ball rolling. Yeah. F1 is huge at the minute, so they're in basically. They've got to basically buy out, and Alpine has put itself. My point is
worth $2 billion right now. Fine.
Sure. Well, but Alpine themselves don't actually. Yeah. Roughly,
so that's
right.
How much? 600 million.
600 or 700 million, right?
Yeah.
Alpine's also put themselves in a very bad situation in that it's basically an open secret that they want out, which is like the worst negotiating position to be in. Because if you're like, you want to be in a position where you're like, no, we want to stick around for a few more years because then you can keep pushing the price up. When you're literally going, we're trying to get out of here as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And you do that by bringing Flavio in and kicking out the CEO of the company. It's so obvious that you just want to sell.
CEO, look at him, went himself. He went after basically ruining everything. So
well, he did a good job. Yeah. As you say all the time, good job. But my point is, he could definitely get the backing. I think Alpine makes the most sense in terms of ownership.
Look, he'll get the backing in terms of that. I'm not.
I just don't think finances are going to be a huge issue for him. I think he can get the finances. You know
how?
Because he can lead a consortium. Like this is how they're done. You know.
Consortium is fine for me. As I said, the 25. It could easily be a 25 each. He could basically get a quarter. Yeah. Even him becoming a owner of a team is not a problem for me.
Yeah.
The problem for me is how he's going to fund the entire team and the entire business
easily.
Yeah, sponsorships will do the day-to-day running, but for Alpine to become a front-running team, there's a lot of work that needs to go. The capital expense.
Yeah, the capex and all that sort of stuff.
The entire thing. Apparently, Aston Martin has pretty much spent close to $1 billion or so.
Yeah.
To get the facilities up to date. And my point is also pretty outdated, by the way. When it comes to that.
You have to think though, like
proper wind tunnel either. So
Alpine at the moment own like 70% right? So I think it's like
no.
The other group
owns less. It owns
less now, is it? Yeah. Because I know the other
these stars.
The sports stars bought 24.9% or something, or 24%, because it was just under 24%. It was 23% because 24% is enough to have
24.99, right? In Europe,
no,
it's not have a power.
I think it's more than 24. No, I think in Europe it's 24%, not 25. So I think it's 23 point something.
23.99. Okay,
probably because that's what gives you a certain amount of control of it, like a say basically, as opposed to being a fully silent investor. I'm sure there's other investors as well, but
I think there are more.
But my point is, like, if he even gets, he doesn't need to get 33. It doesn't need to be the exact same setup as,
it can be different.
It could be 24, 25%. It could be just enough that he has kind of a say in the company, basically, to where kicking him out means actually buying him out of the company, like, you know.
I think that's what he needs, right?
Yeah.
Something similar to what Toto has.
And I don't see any reason why he can't go and get like a a Hyundai or a Chinese brand or something that wants to fucking buy into Formula One and
That's
get
what
them
they're
to fund it.
thinking. That's what
I just think
thought.
there's so many rich people out there that would be happy to go like, okay,
The
we'll
problem
pay
is
for
Hyundai
Horner to come in.
has Cyril Abiteboul, and
Yeah,
Cyril has
that's going to be a
fond
problem.
memories
That,
of Christian.
but my point is, there's tons and
Yeah.
tons of brands that would be willing to jump in, especially if they look at it as, okay, well, we can put some funding in and we don't have to actually physically run it. So we just sign a check and Horner runs it. That's the ideal situation for a lot of brands.
Yeah.
Like I think most brands, like think of Ford, for example. Ford have pumped money into Red Bull, not nearly as much
Not
as he
much.
would need.
Very nothing.
Very
Very
little. I think it's like 30 million a year. It's a tiny amount. But the point is, they really just wanted their name on an engine.
That's it.
That was
Yeah.
it. You know.
Then
But there's a lot of
engineering
brands
is
who
not
be
involved, by the way.
sure,
from
and there's
Ford.
a lot of brands and billionaires who would love to have their name on something like this and happily would kick in a ton of money to own part of it without having to do anything. You know,
Especially with F1
and especially
becoming big.
Chinese and like Saudi and Russian investors and all these people, they don't really give a shit about Horner's allegations because, well, Horner's a guy, and in some of those countries you can do whatever you want. So like, they don't really care about Western ideals, so
Good
they're not going to
job.
be too pushed. My point is like, let's be honest here. A Saudi fund doesn't really give a shit about Horner getting his finger out on WhatsApp. You know,
Yeah.
like they don't care. So there's a lot of, I've seen some other, maybe it was the race, maybe someone else being like, well, he might find it hard to get backing because of the allegations. I'm like, have you watched Formula One
was
before?
motorsport.
Like, it was a cigarette branding exercise for 40 years. Like, what are you talking about? You know, like these people live
By
these
the
people
way,
must
they
live
all-
in LA.
I think even
right?
you don't remember this. You do know Christian Horner basically posed naked for a sponsorship for Red
I
Bull.
remember this. Yeah. And
Yeah.
sure, Jordan, like back then, like
in the day.
the women that they had, like I love people were calling out
Johnny
out
Herbert.
Nico Hulkenberg for stuff like
yeah.
last week.
Oh,
and it was
God,
like,
yeah.
guys, look up any of your favorite drivers, including Lewis Hamilton, who a lot of them had in their profile photos. And it's like the things he has said about the grid girls over the years. Like he's just, guys, like, I'm sorry, but you can't just, anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just,
Okay, if
yeah.
you have to set a timeline of Horner's return, how you think it's going to go?
Well, I think,
Because
look,
I think it's first of all his employment currently. He is still employed with Red Bull.
yeah,
I
he's
think it
working
would
at
be
a
done
£50
by-
million buyout or something is the latest, right? So
Yeah. So it would be. I think he would be released by the end of the year. Probably that's what the
from
timeline is.
what I understand is he's pushing for way more than 50 million, right?
Okay.
They're pushing for less. And it seems like he's got at least, like he's got 12 months, because I think the maximum, as far as I understand it, in Formula One, the maximum gardening leave you can put is 12 months. I believe there's a regulation on that. So you can't have like 3 years gardening leave, like it's just in the regulations. So
Yeah, but gardening leave, does it apply for
yeah.
termination?
Huh?
It applies
Well,
for
it depends,
termination.
but he hasn't technically been terminated, so they can work that around the regulations. He's been. The problem is,
What's going on?
Well, as far as I understand,
the technicality here.
someone said this to me on Twitter, and I was explaining that, like, basically, the thing is, they were like, "Oh yeah, but they can just keep him employed, so his gardening leave doesn't kick off for as long as they want. So basically, keep him
Can't
there."
they
Right?
do
No,
that?
that's not the way it works. When you're like with lower level people, you can fucking move them around and cause them a lot of headache and so on. But Formula One has regulations to stop that, like stop you playing around like that, first of all, because teams with lots of money used to do that in the past, so they stopped them doing it. The other thing
He's
is
an
when it
OBE,
comes,
right?
yeah, and sure, that makes a difference. But yeah, like when it
No,
comes
in
to
terms of he has political links as well.
like Bernie and all these guys, all of his friends,
There's
yeah,
Bernie, right? So,
all of
yeah.
his friends have a load of political. But my point is, when you're a CEO or a high person like in those positions, in your contract, it normally means if you actually get taken from that position, then automatically it starts a countdown timer to have to officially let you go. So like if I'm CEO of a company, you can't like hire me as CEO and then go, we don't want to fire him because we'd have to pay him loads. So let's make him the janitor instead. Like you can't do that. Like as soon as you remove me from my position publicly, in my contract, it's going to be like, okay, this starts a month to where you have to agree something with me to pay. Horner's been around long enough to know that's in his contract, I'm sure. So there's probably just from what I'm hearing and from what I would assume as well, he's probably owed a certain amount as per his contract with the 12-month gardening leave. They're probably offering like 25 million on that, and saying 12 months gardening leave, whatever, and he's going, I'll do 6 with 70 million. So they're probably working to go like, okay, we won't give you 12 months, we'll give you 6 months, but you lose like 25 million of your payout. And I'm sure he's probably just going to Alpine or whatever, or big buyers to say, right, what can I get to make it worthwhile to take that pay cut, So it's just a matter of time. But I would imagine the end of this year, he'll be completely free. He's probably thinking to himself, well, 6 months is fine anyway, because I'm not going to any other team before the end of the year anyway. So, and it gives him time to relax at home for a while. I did think they were kind of pricks. Like, again, going back to the Max Verstappen of it all, timing wise, even if you don't like Horner, unless there was a severe deadline, doing it that week was a dick move anyway. So unless they had a proper reason, because his dog,
he lost his first wife or something, right?
His first wife.
Back.
And if you're like, oh, well, it's like surely he doesn't care about his wife. Yeah, but I'm sorry. Even people who cheat on their wives give a shit about their daughters, and it was his daughter's mother. His daughter's 11 years of age. Even people like that do actually care about their kids. I know enough of them. So I'm sure he's probably thinking about his kids. So firing him during that week when he's looking after his daughter and everything, 11 years old, that's a dick move. And that as well, from a publicity point of view, tells me they didn't give a shit. They had to get it done. So that's why I really think Verstappen's staying. But anyway, we'll see. But yeah, I think end of the year.
In terms of what's your prediction when he comes back? And where Alpine is where you think he'll come back, but
yeah, I just don't see anywhere else where it works out for me. And I think it'll be Alpine from 2026. I just think that, like, from start of 2026, I think very start of the season he'll be there.
Okay,
but the only, I think there's problems with that. One is getting investment. The question is, can he do that before 2026? The simple fact is, I think if he calls up like Flavio and the guys at Alpine and says, like, I want to come in, like, I don't think necessarily Flavio goes straight away. Like, I think Flavio stays there, gets all the backing. Because I could see a situation where
I think Flavio is just the age. He's getting
I think he goes eventually, but I think he could be the guy that sits in to kind of get the two sides formed. Because think about it. If you want someone who kind of goes, right, like Horner calls up and says, I'm in, let's do this, but I need to get the backing. But I can't do anything until January because I'm here at Red Bull. So I technically can't touch any of that. Flavio's the perfect guy to go, cool, I'm on it. Goes off, talks to Bernie. They start getting all the people so that literally January 1st, Horner walks out the door into another office, signs the backroom deals that Flavio and Bernie have been doing quietly, and boom, he's in. Like, if you wanted anyone to do backroom deals that would be on the grey area of Formula One, and maybe over the grey area, Flavio and Bernie are the two guys you count on. Yeah. So, and he's very good friends with Flavio as well. He's not going to want to work under him, but I could see Flavio seeing this as...
Look, I don't think Horner comes back in any other role that is lesser than being a team owner.
Team owner.
I think he doesntoto come 100%. Back in any
And that team owner, as I said, could be 24%. It doesn't need to actually own the team.
Of course.
It could be exactly the same as Toto, where he doesn't actually technically own the whole team.
Toto started at a much lower percentage, and ultimately he kind of took more and more stakes.
So he could start there, and like there could be bonus. It could even be like, okay, if I get us to the front, it jumps up to 33%. There's all these ways they can work this stuff in.
It can be done. That's not.
But I could see Flavio sticking around as the guy to help with like sponsorships. And to be honest as well, there's been some talk, which I kind of agree with, which is Horner had enjoyed at the start of his career having Helmut there as the bad guy to like, fire people and do the things he doesn't want. That could literally be the Flavio thing. You keep Flavio around to help with sponsorships. And it's like, Flavio, I don't like this guy anymore. Flavio's like, no problem, I go fire him now. Why are all of them Russian? I don't know. That's the only accent I can do. But and I can do Southern American as well. These Southern whites. Anyway, we've gone way off the board. But yeah, that's my thinking. I think Alpine. I just don't think anywhere else works.
Yeah, for now, even if I have to make a pick, I think Alpine. But I don't think he comes back next year, January.
Maybe
I think he waits until mid 2026. Because 2026, start of the season, you see what the layout is. Right, in terms of the power units and everything, and then you make the call. Because if somehow the Mercedes engine tanks and Alpine is right at the back, and the commitment has been made for multiple years of power unit, he doesn't want to join a team that will be right at the back, isn't it?
Well,
he want a better
I mean, maybe, but then again, it depends. Depends who the
There's also
backers are,
this.
and it
Yeah.
also depends because like that could also be a great way to play it. In that, like, if Alpine next year have the Mercedes engine and the Mercedes engine unlikely event doesn't work out, and Alpine are at the back, he could see that as well. I'll get in cheaper. And I'll grab a new engine supplier for the year after because Toto's going to kick me out anyway.
Oh,
Maybe, so like
plus maybe there's.
Toto will have to supply him for 2 years anyway because it's been contracted as far as I understand. So
yeah.
even if Horner does buy the team at like start of next year until the end of 2027, he would have to get the engines from Mercedes. And if Mercedes terminate the contract, then Audi, Red Bull powertrains or Honda would have to supply him at that point because they will have been in the sport for 2 years. Red Bull powertrains is unlikely. Honda I could see, but it depends on how Aston feel about
Honda
that,
is
I
an
guess.
exclusive deal.
Yeah, so
can't-
probably not then. So it's likely maybe Audi, that he gets. Yeah. But I don't
Let's
see
see.
Red Bull supplying him
Exactly,
if they're still
yeah.
around.
Plus, I'd still wait and see if maybe because look, Horner is going to get calls. He's going to get calls from a lot of places, maybe even outside of Formula One as well. But let's see if what he does. For now,
I mean,
yeah,
maybe he goes to Ferrari. Maybe his ego gets ahead of him, and he goes, "I can do what the others haven't done." Maybe I just don't. I
that's
just
not
don't
ego,
see
that's
it.
naive. That's not Horner.
It's
Isn't
stupidity.
it?
Yeah, no, he's fairly pragmatic. So
Because the thing is, what has happened to him right now, he doesn't want a repeat of it. And at Ferrari, he's
that's
going to
my
get a
thinking.
repeat of it.
That's my thinking.
Without
yeah.
a doubt.
Well,
So,
I mean, unless Ferrari offer him fucking a $500 million contract and he uses it as his down payment for Alpine, like, guys, I'll be with you in 2 years. I just got to sort something out here.
yeah.
That would be brilliant. Goes to Ferrari, runs it into the ground, takes his cash, jumps to Alpine.
I mean, look, he doesn't need to go to Ferrari. Ferrari will do that himself.
Yeah.
Okay, next up. Enough of Horner talk. So, yes, let's talk about Charles Leclerc. And, well, he had a shambolic weekend.
Yeah.
A lot of people actually texted, they had questions about this.
Mm-hmm.
Is Charles Leclerc a bad wet weather driver?
Wet weather driver.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but when I saw this in the kind of text you sent me before that we were going to talk about, which I read for once,
Good job.
I'm trying to think, like, because he's not always bad in the wet. Like, surely there's been some really good races, because I don't remember ever thinking this before this weekend. Like, it's never crossed my mind that he's a really bad wet weather driver. So I'm not sure why this is the case now.
So let's take a look at a few of these races. 2019 German Grand Prix, he crashed out.
Mm-hmm.
But
so did
a
Seb.
lot of people.
Yeah.
Sorry?
But so did Seb.
No, Seb was
No,
second.
the year before.
Oh yeah, we don't talk about that. That race didn't happen. That race did not happen. Oh fuck. Yeah, that triggered a trauma.
2014 to 2018 was like a world war for Vettel fans, basically.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
Which we lost to the Germans. But,
we did. So 2019 German Grand Prix, he crashed. 2020 there was the Turkish Grand Prix, which was wet, which Lewis won, and I think Charles was third. Seb was second. Other than that,
Seb
what
was
wet
second.
weather rate was? There was the Imola Grand Prix 2021. I think Charles was fourth behind Norris, if I'm not wrong.
But the car was shit that year
Car
as well,
was shit
anyway.
that time, yeah. 2022.
But I'm trying to think, like 2022 when he had a decent car, was there wet races? Because I can't remember.
Yeah, there was a wet race in Imola, which Max won. Checo was second. I think Charles had a pretty shitty race. He had a few. He almost had a crash when he was trying to overtake Checo. So that was one. But again, the race in Monaco, which he should have won. Good job.
Yeah.
Great. The race in Monaco, which he should have won, where he had, I think, 15-20 second lead. It was Ferrari that just fucked it up for him.
This is why it's hard to call, because like the wet races that I'm thinking of, like Silverstone last year, it was very much Ferrari who fucked that up. Canada last year, it was very much Ferrari who fucked that up. Monaco, Ferrari who fucked that up. Like, this is the problem. It's like, it's hard to blame Charles for those, because a lot of those are to do with strategy as opposed to his driving. Yeah. Like, he's running really, really well, and then Ferrari go, let's put on the hard. and they're rushing again for some reason. So yeah, I'm
It's
not.
yeah. Again,
Must be
I
the
think the
water.
reason why it got a bit exaggerated was the race this time around. I think it's better if we talk about his race in Silverstone, because initially I was not a huge fan of the strategy he took, where he basically gambled on slicks. But if you take a look at the way both George and Charles at lap 8 mark, both of them were setting purples.
Mhm.
And Lance was ahead of both of them. He was on soft tires and he was pretty much, I think he was 15 or 16 seconds off the lead and he was 2 to 3 seconds faster. On lap 10, the rain comes in, and that's where things just had to be neutralized, and then they had to just switch to other
Yeah.
tires.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
happened is, if there was no VSC or no safety car, if there was no VSC at the start of the race, and the drivers who actually gambled for slicks, they had enough time to get heat into the tires, I think the strategy could have been better,
Yeah.
right? Without any disruptions and stuff. And that's what George pointed out as well, where he said that, look, the tires were fine. That's not the concern. The concern was the VSC, which
Yeah.
basically meant that we couldn't really get the tires up to temperature, and then the advantage
It was
was
just
lost
too little
as the rain
time.
came.
Yeah.
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 So
I don't know. It's like
there were
it's hard
mistakes
to
as well. Yeah.
it's hard to say because like there has been a few mistakes, but then I mean every driver's had mistakes in the wet. I mean, literally Max at Silverstone. Like,
Yeah.
did we just say, oh well, Max can't drive in the wet then because he made one mistake in Silverstone?
He made
So
fourth,
you have
by
to,
the way.
yeah. So you have to base it over his career, and Max has been brilliant. Like Max has been the best driver in the wet of this generation. You
Yeah.
know.
By far.
So yeah, by a country mile. So, I don't know. I just feel like every time I think of Charles having a bad situation, it seems to be on Ferrari, and even this one to an extent. Like it's not that the tires were bad, but it's like everything went against him. So it's more like where did Russell finish in that race? Like how far off was Russell?
8 or 9, I think.
Let me pull it up because I don't
Yeah.
think he was that far off Russell. Right? Maybe I'm wrong.
No, he was one place behind George, but then on when as soon as they switched to slicks, he had a moment with Carlos and then fell back even further. So
Right.
Charles
Okay.
had a lot of moments. Even George had a lot of moments. I think for me the
Yeah.
problem is, I wouldn't say Charles is a standout wit with a driver in terms of what Max is.
This is
probably.
what I was leaning towards, which is I don't think he's a particularly bad one, but I don't think he's one of the top either.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of
If I had to pick the best ones, I'd say if top 5 wit with the drivers in Formula One right now, I'd say Max. I'd put George in there. I'd put Lando in there. Oscar was quite good this time around. Who else? Nico for now,
yeah.
at least this season. I won't put Charles in that list. At least for I don't know. I haven't seen that many standout drives from him in the wet, anyways.
Yeah, he like this
Maybe
is
that
this is where it
changes.
comes to, which is like I guess this is the point of it, is like I don't think he's that bad, but I don't think he's spectacular either, because I guess that's summed up by the fact that when we said it, I was like, what races he's been in, that he's been kind of anonymous in the rain to an extent. And anywhere where it's been really bad, it's generally like it's obvious Ferrari problems that I'm thinking of. And if we're saying 2019 was his first year in Ferrari, like, you know, Ferrari.
Yeah, but that was an error a lot of people made. The crash
Yeah.
that he had.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Hulkenberg there, Sainz, Lando Norris, all of them did the same thing.
Yeah, so it's kind of, it's forgivable, you know. So I don't know. I don't think he's particularly brilliant. I don't think he's particularly bad. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's anywhere in between.
Exactly.
You know?
I mean, the Monaco 2022 one is, I think, the one that got away because he was sensational that weekend. But Ferrari had to do the
Ferrari
thing.
threw that away massively.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so-
So it's hard to blame him on that, you know.
Yeah, so
Plus-
I won't say.
It could be PTSD. Like whenever it starts raining, you could be sitting in the car going like, you know, flashbacks of Vietnam. You know,
Yeah.
because you're literally like, oh God, it's raining and I'm driving for Ferrari. Like it could be immediately like just like, oh God, for the entire race. I wouldn't be surprised, you know?
Yeah, I think just to cap it all off, I think I wouldn't say he's bad. I'd say he's decent. He's good enough. He's not outstanding. He's not.
The problem is
he's
we're
a
not going to
better
know until
driver if
Ferrari
I-
give him a good strategy in the
Yes.
wet.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's never going to happen. So it's going to be hard to ever figure this one out.
until he leaves Ferrari, because ultimately at some point he will. I
End of
hope.
2026, if they don't turn
I
things
hope
around,
so.
he's gone. I think he's gone at the end of 2026.
Look, I thought so in 2023, but the fucker keeps
There,
signing with them.
there is the
I don't
problem
get
as
it.
well of like at the end of 2026, like it depends on what seats are open, doesn't it? Because
That's also
if you
the
can
problem.
if you can only go backwards, then there's no point, So it
Yeah.
depends on.
Yeah. I always was a huge fan of Charles ending up at Red Bull with Horner
Yeah.
leading him.
Yeah, now
Oh
that's
God.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charles to Alpine then. Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alongside
Okay.
Colapinto. Be great.
Oh yeah. That would be something. By the way, Checo is apparently, I think it should be
Cadillac,
announced
as
soon.
expected.
Checo
Yeah.
and Bottas, by the way. Checo and Bottas will be driving for.
That's what they're saying for the moment, unless
Cadillac.
Bottas goes to Alpine, which is also being talked about.
Oh, again in place of Colapinto.
Mhm.
Okay. But yeah, let's see. But I think
Literally the most mid lineup I can think of. Gasly and Bottas. It's like if someone said to me, name the biggest like midfield lineup, it'd be like Gasly and Bottas.
most midfield.
Yeah, the most midfield lineup, Gasly and Bottas.
Yeah. But imagine if it's basically Checo and Bottas at Cadillac.
It's like
When that
taking
would-
the two top the two biggest number two drivers at different teams, at top teams, and putting them together.
I mean, that would actually answer a lot of debates, by the way. Depending on who wins, right?
Yeah,
But that would be the fun thing.
Bottas beats Gasly, I think.
I was talking about Checo and Bottas.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. Yeah, because it would be interesting because I would imagine it would turn out that basically Bottas would be ahead in qualifying every weekend, and then
I doubt
Checo would overtake him in the race. Basically, that's what
doubt
I'm
it.
thinking.
I doubt that he'll be ahead in every.
Most, I'm going to say then. Fine.
Yeah, he'll be a better.
Like
He'll be a
he's a better
qualifier,
qualifier, and then Checo's a better racer. So
Yeah. Cool. Let's
we'll
see. Now, finally, just to wrap things up, the questions that
Yes.
are for what subscribers have
You
actually
got-
sent us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take a look at the YouTube ones.
Have we
You
got
can
ones
look-
on YouTube? Did you
We
put
have
it
a
out on
couple
YouTube?
of them.
Did you?
Yeah, we
Okay.
have a couple of them, and I think we
Okay,
have
cool.
4 or 5 on X.
Okay. Let me pull them up. Oh,
Okay, we
good.
got
The
more.
Blatantly Biased Racing Podcast is following me. That's good. I'm joking. Let's see.
Oh Jesus, there are 8 questions.
Oh, lovely. Right. So, Skidmark says, I wish
When
we could
did
just
they come?
travel in. I don't know. Skidmark says, I wish we could just travel in time to the future, man. This shit is getting tiring at this point. And by that, I mean the whole Max to Merc rumors. There's not much to say on that. We've already talked about it. But yeah, I think that's.
My guy
There's a
is
couple of these that we
so-
can skip through pretty quickly. I'll just
Yes,
go
yes.
through this real quick. Rich Porter says, if Yoss is behind the firing of Horner, what's the point of Max leaving? That kind of, we'd already answered that because that goes back to my point of like, the only reason I can see your Horner being fired is if Max stays. Like, I can see Horner being fired at the end of the season if Max is leaving. But to fire him at that particular time with that urgency,
Yeah,
just
as soon
tells
as the
me
Mercedes thing was actually in the air.
basically, yeah, it seems to me as like, this is like, we'll do anything you want, Max.
Yeah.
And Yoss went, yeah, Max is good. He has everything he needs, but I want Horner out of here. Like, that's what it seems like to me. Yeah, anyway, the other ones are about other stuff. So if you want to jump on one.
Yeah, go ahead, be washed.
Okay, cool. Bivash says, how long do you see Lando and Oscar continuing as teammates, and who is more likely to leave McLaren? I mean, for me, it depends on if they're performing as well as they are next year. I could see them like as well as they are this year. If they continue on, at least running at the front, like even if they're properly in a title fight with Mercedes or whatever, as long as they're a front running team, I think both of them stay. To be honest, and I think it's Lando who's more likely to leave, in my opinion. But I don't know. Like, it depends, because I mean, if you're the top running team, like where does Lando go that's any better, or does he just leave? Full stop. You know, like, does he just give up?
I think the problem is one of the two is mentally weaker, and that person is the one that starts trying to find demons in the closet. I think that's going to be the problem ultimately.
Like R. Kelly. Anyway, sorry. It's a South Park joke. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think the answer is whoever wins the championship this season is going to stay. The other leaves. Because either way, one of the two is going to the one that wins the championship this season is going to have some advantage psychological next
So
season over the other.
Piastri. Yeah.
That's where the things are going to be.
Yeah. So do you think it's going to be next year or not?
I think depends on the car and depends on how. Look, if it's Mercedes 2014, then neither of them are leaving. They'll behave because there is no other option where you can actually do something.
This was my point. It depends, so much on the car. But I just like, I think whoever wins though, like if the car shit could move up to somewhere else. So that could be that's why Oscar could leave. Like if Oscar wins the championship this year and McLaren are shit next year, he's then like he's a title, like he's a champion. So easier for him to then call the shots on where he wants to go, etc. You know, because F1's just based on what you did last year. So you know, this is why Max needs to act fast because he's the big thing right now. But as soon as other people start winning the championships, people start forgetting things real quick.
Exactly.
Vettel was the next Schumacher until he wasn't. Just reminding you. Sushi says, discuss Leclerc's wet weather ability, which we just have. But anyway, I'll read it out fully. IMO, he's not even top 5 or 6 on the grid. Max, Hamilton, Alonso, Norris, Russell, Hülkenberg are all better. Ooh, I mean, Max, obviously. Hamilton, I mean, Imola 2021. Yeah.
But still, both of them are there.
I know, he's been good. He's been very good. I'm joking. Alonso, fair enough. Norris has been pretty good in the wet, actually. Like I know people are bringing up Brazil last year, but that was all down to strategy.
Bring up Melbourne and
it was all down to strategy as well. Let's be honest here.
Even this
people love to bring up like 2 races like Sochi. They're like, well, what about Sochi? They're like, again, strategy call. First, like this is like Russell as well. I hate this. Like Russell's a bottler. I'm like, he's had 2 bad races. And you're just going to focus. If I do that with Max, then Max is shit because I can pick out 2 races where Max has been terrible. Like
this season.
It's just typical. Like it's just anyway. Russell, I agree, and Hülkenberg, of course. Like Hülkenberg is the best. Hülkenberg is the best driver on the grid by far. His poor performances in the last 4 years were always bailed out as Sainz crashed almost every single wet race. I mean, sure. I think we've discussed it, but I can say I do agree that I think all of those drivers are better wet weather drivers.
I'd say they're better,
than Charles. Prototype X says Charles Leclerc should definitely consider leaving Ferrari. He's just crashing his stock. He was crashing his stock. He was, according to everyone. Sorry, there should have been a comma there. Sorry, being grammar police here, grammar Nazi. He was, according to everyone, second best on the grid, and now suddenly George and Oscar have leapfrogged him. According to some, Oscar's leapfrogged. This is what I just said. People just forget about things. This is why Vettel is like, Vettel was never very good. And I argued this in my recent video because I'm like, people just immediately go, oh, well, he was never good. And you're like, everyone thought he'd be the next Schumacher. And you're like, nah, no one ever thought that. I was like, you clearly weren't watching or you've just forgotten it because he was until 2014. And then immediately everyone was like, oh, he's not that good then. And it's like, no, he is. It's just, he had a bad season. So apparently people think, basically, George and Oscar are better than Leclerc now, which I still think Leclerc is the second best driver. I think he's just driving for Ferrari.
For this season, the driver ratings which I shared on X, I had...
You put him second, didn't you? But you're washed.
I put Oscar at first.
Yeah. But you're washed.
The average of driver ratings.
Yeah, but your averages are off then.
Yeah, second is Charles, third is Max.
I'm joining the Max fans who are very angry with you.
Oh, everyone is angry. Apparently...
That's how you know it's good, though. If everyone's angry, you've done a good rating.
Everyone's angry.
Everyone except Piastri fans.
1 point separating all of them. 1 point or 0.5 points, which is separating the top 4, but they don't even look at the... Like,
no, they won't care. Yeah. According to some, Oscar's even better than Max. Who says that? Like, nobody is saying that.
Who are you? Listen to us. Prototype X, listen to us.
Prototype X, can you tell me...
Everyone else is a wanker, don't listen to them.
What F1 version of News Nation have you been listening to? Do you think he should move if Max causes a shuffle? I think he should move anyway. We've already just discussed this, I guess.
Yeah.
Will I keep going or do you want to go?
Charles Leclerc should move. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
will I keep going or do you want to jump on one?
Yeah, there are 2 from Ishan, right?
Yeah, I'll just finish off the last ones then.
Yeah.
Druv George says, in a way, it's good that Horner has been ditched because Red Bull is a sinking ship and he won't be the one in charge when the team hits rock bottom. It's probably, to be honest, it's probably going to be good for Horner in the long run. Like,
the only person that has lost out in all this nonsense is Red Bull, by the way.
And Max.
The biggest loser is Red Bull.
And Max if he stays.
Yeah. Max ever
because
stays, yes.
everyone will just keep going, yeah, but Max can move wherever he wants at the end of 26. And again, as I said, short-term thinking is F1's like main thing. So
Yeah.
by the end of 2026, we'll have one, if not two new champions. So
You have to be very careful. Yeah.
Yeah, like Alonso could have gone anywhere and then he couldn't, you know?
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, that's the best example.
Alonso
Is Max
beat Schumacher.
Verstappen the new Fernando Alonso? We might be asking this question next season.
Yeah, it could be jumping place to place and then retiring, going to WEC, coming back.
Shouting at the team.
At the end of
shouting
2006, at the end of 2006, no one could have predicted Alonso's career would go the way it did. No one would have. So
pretty much
everything is very short term because 2005, 2006 Alonso was the next Schumacher until he wasn't. 2013 Vettel was the next Schumacher until he wasn't. Ishan says, is there really an actual possibility of Max to Mercedes? I would assume getting rid of Horner means Max stays, but drivers will jump ship the minute they sense a better package and Red Bull is dying. I guess we've already kind of discussed all of that. So, and do we think that Verstappen camp is getting rid of Horner, or do we think that the Verstappen camp getting rid of Horner is going to pay off as much as they think it will? It's been a while since they've been trying to get rid of him. That team was already built around him. I can only guess what else needs to be done behind the scenes to please the Verstappens. I think we've already discussed most of that anyway.
Yeah.
So,
but
thank you for the question.
Yeah, but one thing, Ishan, he watches the podcast. I mean, he's hitting all the correct points. Good on you.
I love it. He's called basically everything we've just discussed. So that's good. Yeah, love it. Love it.
And he was the one actually I had a discussion with regarding the whole Honor thing. So yeah. Now on YouTube we have Dane Lua. Do you think Do you think Michelin and Bridgestone should come back? Because honestly, it is very infuriating to me that Pirelli doesn't want to use wet tires anymore if it rains. We're to the point that wet tires are pointless now. I'm actually surprised about one thing, by the way, and I was anticipating a lot of people losing this shit when, as soon as it started raining heavily, they just had the safety car on. Not even a single driver switched to the wet tires. I was hoping that at least there'll be a few who will be losing this shit, but no one did.
No.
They should have. Honestly, they should have.
Yeah.
And, just to answer this question, should Michelin and Bridgestone come back? The problem is not necessarily the tire manufacturer here. The problem is having a single tire manufacturer. There is no competition. You're basically doing the bare minimum that is needed and whatever you are told to do. Since they are not pushed hard and they do not face any kind of criticism, to be honest, when it comes to having shitty wet weather tires, Pirelli is not doing anything when it comes to that. That's the whole problem. Go for it.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I mean, I think they should come back. I think obviously as far as I'm aware, there's an exclusive rights deal, right, with Pirelli. So I think it would be.
You can't have tire wars in Formula One.
Yeah, not
as
anymore.
Simple as
that. So I think Liberty of basically money. Yeah. I love that. So I just think it's a case of like, I think the step this year of like taking the 2 steps has been very, very good. I just think it's time to maybe make it like Formula One's complex anyway, and they've tried to just dumb it down for the audience by having a simple like soft, medium, and hard. I think, look, Formula One's already complex. People already get things wrong and blame the stewards for fucking red flags. Like, so no one really understands the rules as it is anyway. So just allow them to use whichever tire they want for the weekend. And let's not pretend it's sustainable. You're flying fucking 20 millionaires in fucking fancy cars all over the world. So let's not pretend that sending an extra few... Yeah, all of them flying on private jets with their sponsors flying in on private jets to offset the carbon by fucking complaining about some Indian village burning a bit of paper. So let's just all forget about it. And if I'm honest as well, while we're on the topic of climate change, which I've just brought up, if you were really serious, build fucking nuclear power. That's why I just don't care anymore, because it's all bullshit. So, and I'm not taking the Joe Rogan line. I'm just saying, as we get immediately get a banner below telling us about how climate change is real. I think climate change is real. I just think all of this way we're dealing with it, and not having F1 tires being allowed to be brought is bullshit, because I'm sorry.
No,
it's
just like tires are not brought because of cost, not sustainability.
But the excuse is sustainability. We can only bring 13 tires.
Cost.
But also sustainability, because they'll throw away tires.
Cost.
We know it's cost, but they don't say that. They say sustainability.
It's cost.
Oh, But Formula One don't say that. They say sustainability.
Well, they'll say sustainability about everything. I mean,
Yeah. That's why they're keeping Horner or Helmet around. Because sustainability reasons, they don't want to replace him. There's no other reason to keep Helmet other than sustainability reasons. That's why they brought back Flavio, I guess, as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, next is Bernie.
Yeah. We're trying to
then we'll have Ron.
reduce, reuse, and recycle people. That's why Helmet's around. If it was per performance, Helmet would have been gone a long time ago. So
yeah. And just an example of how this single tire manufacturer basically means a tire manufacturer doesn't have to do a good job. Look at MotoGP. It's in shambles, and you know who is the tire manufacturer there?
Pirelli,
Michelin.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it's pretty much the same thing.
Look, I think going back to your point of
it
goes back to your point of like it doesn't actually matter who the manufacturer is, but I think to answer the direct question from Dane, it's like if we could have two manufacturers, I'm here for it because they'd put pressure on each other. But if it's just having one manufacturer, then realistically you just need to fix the underlying problems and make them have to be competitive and have to do things.
Yeah. And don't have a situation where the wet tire is useless, honestly.
Yeah, so if you're bringing two, then great. The only thing I would say is, which one of them is the Japanese supplier? It's Bridgestone?
Bridgestone is Japanese.
So bring them.
Michelin is French.
So bring them, because the Japanese generally, they care about performance over everything else. So they won't want to look bad. Yeah, they won't want to look bad. Whereas the French and Italians are very much like, oh, it looks good, it'll do. And they sound Russian still, for some reason. Sacre bleu.
Good job. Okay. So also, do you think one lap qualifying should return? Fuck no.
No. God, no.
No,
God, thanks.
2005 we had it, and it's utterly shambolic because there's too much advantage for the driver that is literally at the end of. No. Utterly ridiculous. And Tomo F1 is the person who tends to put it out. He advocates it relentlessly, and I don't
come on the podcast, Tomo. We want to argue with you about this. You're wrong.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, I can't, mate. I'm down in the East End of London now, and I'm on the fucking Talking Bull podcast. I've got time, mate. At least he wasn't Russian. That's good.
Yeah, good.
So it's progress.
Also, this is the most random question. Okay, so now is the most random question coming up. If Formula One wants elimination races, how would you make this sensible for people so want this gimmick? To want this gimmick, because I want F1 to have a gimmick of a elimination race. How would you make this gimmick on people wanting to see it?
So you're saying like
elimination race?
I'm guessing this is going to be like the last person in each race gets eliminated, which makes sense because we have 24 races now, so you could actually have 4 racers at the end. You could remove. No, you could have 20 races and remove a driver each race until one wins.
Yeah, but the problem is
money.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I get the idea.
It's basically death race, but we are not killing drivers. That's the
they're just being eliminated from the race. I'm guessing that's what he means, unless he does mean like some sort of like Squid Games-esque.
Next time around, Dane, explain what the fuck is an elimination race.
Yeah, please, so we can answer properly. Please.
Okay, now William VRFT. Do you think Max wins another championship? I know it might seem like a dumb question now, as we all feel he almost has the right. He almost has to, right? But we all did. Jesus. Commas, punctuation, please guys, put anything.
No, it's fine. Leave it. Look how upset he's getting. This is brilliant.
Yeah.
Please paste. Could you, before you comment, please paste them into ChatGPT and say, please make the punctuation worse, and then copy that out into the comments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to annoy casual.
Yeah. Okay, so I understood the question. So the question William is asking is, do you think he'll win another championship? Because I think it's basically your point. We also thought something similar with Vettel, but the way he's gone about it, and
so many people, right? We thought like,
and apparently he writes a lot. Apparently he's supposed to retire by 2028. So
we'll see about that. I don't know. They're all supposed to retire in their like 30s, and then they stick around forever because they realize the grass isn't greener. And Hamilton basically now has been forgotten about and left.
Basically.
Yeah. And Hamilton, since he stopped winning, is getting the table in the corner at the Met Gala, so he's... I'm joking about that, by the way. Could be true. I don't know. I don't watch the Met Gala. I think, look, I think if you were to gamble, like if you were a betting person, you would assume he would win another one because it's Max. But this is what we've talked about so often. It's like, and we've just talked about it. Like you would assume that, you know, Vettel would have got more championships. You would assume that Alonso would have gone on to get more championships, you know? Like in 2005, the idea of Schumacher not winning the next year was crazy. Like Schumacher was going on to win next year.
2004, you mean?
2004, sorry. Yeah, I always mix that up every single time. Sorry. 2004, you would assume he was winning 2005. Some tire changes and boom, like that's it. It's over essentially. You know, I know there's more to it than that technically, but Bernie wanted competition. So
Bernie wanted competition, and they introduced where you cannot change a tire throughout the entire race.
2007, you would have assumed that Alonso would have won the championship, but then Ron Dennis went and cheated. So here we are. You know, Alonso loses the championship and Ron Dennis pays $90 million for being a prick. So like these things happen, right? Like no one could have guessed Jenson Button 2009, you know, that's just no one. So like you just don't know where things are going to go. So it's hard to say. And this is the thing.
By the way,
is like,
no one could have guessed Vettel on the eve of Abu Dhabi 2022.
Yeah, no one would have guessed that either. It was Alonso. It was Alonso or Weber, right?
Yeah,
basically.
pretty much.
Everyone, with Hamilton having an outside shot. That was how everyone assumed it would go.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, so I just don't know. I just don't think it's hard to say because Formula One is, and I'm sorry Verstappen fans, but this is accurate, 90% about the car, right? So Max can be the best driver in the world and he could make a gamble to stay with Red Bull or make a gamble to stay with Mercedes, right? And then by the end of next season, we've got, he stays at Red Bull and Oscar wins this season. So he's a world champion and he's fighting in a championship next year against George and George wins next year. Now you've got two new world champions who are in those teams. And those are the two top teams, let's say for 27, 28, right? And both of those teams now go, well, we don't actually need Max. And everyone that at the moment is going, but Max is like the best driver on the grid. They're like, yeah, but we have world champions in our cars. We don't actually need them anymore. You know, because as soon as Hamilton won the championship in 2014, they weren't calling up Alonso and Vettel and the best drivers on the grid because, oh, we have a world champion now. Maybe, yeah. But for Rosberg's seat, yeah. But the point is, like, they generally don't, though. They generally just go, okay, we're winning now, so we'll stick with our lineup, you know?
If you're Max Verstappen, what direction would you want to take?
I think the pragmatic move is to go to Mercedes. Like,
right now?
Yeah. Like, I think... Look, staying at Red Bull is... the damage is done from a political point of view anyway.
From every point of view.
Yeah, from every point of view, Jos has already ruined everything.
Yeah.
But if you're pragmatically just focused on like who is going to perform better next year, the odds are Mercedes. Let's be honest. Like I know Mercedes can't build a chassis at the moment, but there's just... Even if Vacher is left to build a decent chassis next year... If they have a bad engine, they're going to fire Vacher next year immediately because somehow that's his fault, right? That's what's going to happen. Then they're going to replace Mekias. Then they're going to replace his replacement. And then they're going to replace his replacement.
Yeah,
and then they're going to sell the team.
But what if Mercedes is not a winner next season?
Where do you go then? That's the real issue.
And that's why I think what he should do ideally is
stick around for a year.
Stick around for 2026 at the start of the season, and then do what? Then you scout, because what's going to happen is there's going to be a Mercedes kind of team that would be at the front of the field, but then there will be the emerging contenders. What I would like to see is as Max, if Mercedes is there, which is probably in position to win, then yeah, of course, give Toto a call and see if it works. If it doesn't work, very, very simply, just take a look at where the Aston Martin project is, because that's a new car. And if it is growing and surging, Alonso is close to retirement. Just give him a call. Give Lawrence Stroll a call.
For 2027, you've got a seat. Like,
yeah.
That's
what I would like to do.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Like,
yeah,
because but the other thing is, like, it could be a. Like it's just it genuinely
which won't close, by the way, the Aston Martin door.
The Aston Martin door, I think, yeah, be fine. I think so. The problem is like it could be a. He just needs to worry that it could be a fucking like. If he goes to Mercedes, he could end up in an Alonso 2007 situation, Or Kimi comes good all of a
more
sudden.
like Alonso 2010 Ferrari situation where he has a good enough car, but it is not. He will not win championships if
Yeah.
suppose that kind of situation he ends up.
But then I guess like if he sticks around for 2026 in Red Bull, does it like it could just be the ultimate 2014 Seb situation where it's just
Worse.
worse. Yeah.
Because Red Bull won't be top 4 next season. I don't see it being.
This is the problem where like it just Red Bull's not going to come back, and then where do you go after that? So yeah, I don't know. Like this just goes back to my point from earlier, which is I just feel like they've painted themselves into a but they've just painted themselves into a fucking rock and a hard place now because.
For no reason.
If they had just been fucking quiet about it, and not Max, again, I can't stress this enough. I'm talking about his dad and his management team. If they had just shut the
I'll be very blunt.
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that I think he's just put his faith in them.
That. You did that a lot with Lewis until the dam broke, and then
until Las Vegas, and then I went wild. But yeah, I think, and if he only had a qualified better, he could have won that race. Look, I think this is why they should have shut up. Because if he had shut up, he could have just waited until the end of 2025. Like, he would have had until 2026 and no one would have been questioning anything. It would have just been like, okay, he can play it out. But now he's put himself in a situation where it almost feels like he has to either stick or move to one of those.
Pretty much.
And it's like, he can't just play it out because he's boxed himself in. And this is another thing where I think now, this is more so if he doesn't go to Mercedes right now, I don't think he can go at the end of next year. Because I think after all of this, if George is leading the championship next year,
if in 2026
I think he's going to want to lock him in.
Calls up McLaren and Zach Brown says, I'd like to come.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Right.
But
that is one.
It's unlikely, isn't it? Like, it's very unlikely. I just think if he doesn't go to Mercedes now, because of all this hoopla, he's probably locked himself out with Mercedes going forward. Unless George or Antonelli really underperform next year. But like if he doesn't go now and it does turn out that Mercedes have the best car and George wins a title.
That's true. But again, that is
sure. Yeah,
that's a
I'm
gamble,
just saying.
Right?
My point is,
but he
didn't have to take this gamble if he had to just shut the fuck up about that. Well, not him. If his team had to shut the fuck up about this whole thing, it wouldn't be a gamble.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been a gamble because next year he could have just gone quietly to Toto and said, "Look, you got the best car. What do I need to do to get in?" Whereas I feel like if he doesn't go now, after all of this, and he starts next year going, "Hey, Toto's going to be like, I'm not getting into this again. Like, we're not doing this again. I've got the best car.
The third year now.
Yeah, he's like, I've got the best car. I've got great drivers. I'm not going through all this again.
Yeah.
Just for you to pull out in fucking September. We're not doing it anymore. No more.
Pretty much.
So, yeah, I think that like this becomes the Alonso situation, doesn't it? You burn these bridges.
Yeah.
So, yes, you've made your fucking Red Bull. Now you should sleep in it.
If Max is going to stick around in Formula 1 for, let's say, next 5 years, which I would bet he would.
Yeah. The whole I'm leaving in 2028 just doesn't...
Yeah, not happening.
He either retires and comes back or...
Yeah, either ways.
The
thing is, at some point, he's going to cross paths with Christian Horner. And Christian Horner, at some point, is going to be the team principal of the fastest... of the best team in Formula 1.
I think this is the thing. People underrate how good Horner is because they have a personal opinion and a personal vendetta against him. They don't like him.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You can have that opinion.
Yeah.
But if we're just talking about who is one of the team principals who you can almost guarantee will go to a team and turn it into a team, like a team that wins, it's Horner, Toto, maybe Andy Cowell.
I won't even say Toto. I'd like to see how he does in 2026.
I guess we need to see now, don't we? Because Ross Brawn did a lot of the groundwork for that team. So whereas Christian did all of the groundwork for the other one, Helmut Marko had one eye on it, sure, but Horner did most of the work.
Good.
So that would be funny, by the way. That would be a really funny, interesting note, wouldn't it? If fucking Horner ends up with the top team and Max gives a call in a couple of years, it'd be like,
Not even that. What's going to happen is, look, there's going to be a time when Horner's driver clashes with Max. What happens then? And 9 out of 10 times, Max is going to be at fault. So that thing is not going to change.
You've really said, let's piss off the Max fans in this one, haven't you? Here's you looking for Max comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that note.
Yeah. On that
Thanks for
crushing
watching.
bombshell. Thank you guys.
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Subscribe for a free Alpine hat from Flavio. He'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Bye.